Future nieces, nephews, children, grandchildren. The whole world gives their opinion on everything, and I'm gonna join. Uh, and I hope you like my balaclava. I do ride my bike at nighttime. But anyways, if you've made it this far and you haven't clicked away, let's get into the nitty gritty. I want to say this early. I want to put this out there early. People are divided. Sorry, I had a lot going on in my head while I said that. The governments, mass media, these are businesses. Yes, the government's a business. They want people divided so that they don't focus on how to get to the 1%, get to the upper class. When people are stuck in the lower middle class, they continue to find reason to hate each other. Look at the wealthiest in the world. When they all sit together for coffee, they're not hating each other. Black, white, brown, pink, it doesn't matter the color of their skin. When they all respect each other in that way, there is no racism, there is nothing. It's almost as though it's that lower class keeps propping up the issues because they have been taught that they will never get out of that class, and in most cases they won't, which leads to this anger, which leads to the divide, and it's a trap. Folks, if only people realize money doesn't truly exist the way it exists in other countries. In North America, our money isn't backed by gold like in Russia, China, and India, some other European countries. We have it backed by debt. Debt, in essence, props up the value of our money. The banks themselves are lending money they don't have yet, so it doesn't even exist, and so we all just believe it exists. We get put in jail, we get hit with the repossession people that work for the CRA if we don't pay these taxes, if we don't have to kick in and contribute this fake money. It's really a power trip, and so it's funny that we have to use capitalism to get out of capitalism. And by the way, we got fired up by a video I just saw. This guy had said, you're a slave if you are not an elite, and really that separation is getting larger. So anyways, and it made me think of all this stuff. So I've been seeing videos lately about just how brutal the printing of money is in North America. Our money is so worthless now. We've seen the consequence of this through a fifth of all US dollars were printed during COVID. The interest rates are just climbing. I'm going to see the biggest recession in my lifetime coming up in the next 6 to 12 months. I think now's a great time to get into property. And I have to use capitalism to get out of capitalism. It's a game. Life is a game. Just like Sims characters, you cannot max everything out. You have to pick which skills are best, which are not. It's a game. You have, just like you unlock levels, you have to unlock conversations with people, and then you also, just like you want to unlock parts of the map, in life you can go unlock parts of the map. It's a game. It's an absolute game, and you meet people and you connect with people, and the only way you do that is by going out and meeting people. So, and it leads to bigger opportunities and whatnot. Folks, I am very nervous. Like, I think a lot of youngsters who know that social media is manipulating them and brainwashing them, I think more people are aware, but I think they also realize that the mega companies are too large to fight, and so we meme. We literally make memes to joke about this. All the memes are 12 layers deep. And it's this weird satirical bullshit. Like, the youngsters, I work with the youngsters every day, and I talk to them about this stuff openly. And it's this awareness that they just like ignoring it. It's ignorant bliss. And that's freaky, because I think there are a lot of people that will slowly just love that ignorance because they don't want to come to the realization, wake up about how corrupt everything is. When you dive into really anything, you see how corrupt it is, and the money leads us to everything, including some people doing their own research lately about big pharma more in the last decade than ever, especially with like huge companies backing the drugs needed for the pandemic, and how that, like, those drugs were complete money grabs. And I'm not saying like anything has to be pro bono. I understand that Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson literally just not even hiding it, just like, oh, Johnson & Johnson. Just like, imagine Coca-Cola made a vaccine. That is literally what Johnson & Johnson is. And then Pfizer and Moderna, we'd be lying if we didn't say they're also just big companies doing the same thing. Pfizer just dabbled with tons of big drugs. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that this has to be a charity case. I know people are going to privatize that stuff, and it doesn't mean, just because those drugs are privatized doesn't mean it's not good for us, that it doesn't cure COVIDs. However, like, there's going to be manipulation there. It's not going to be necessarily super ethical. And this is just the realization everyone has. This is society. And so, sorry. What I almost forgot there was, in my opinion, we are going to see at some point government say, we'll remove some of that debt of yours. I literally saw a commercial on Instagram a month ago, and I keep seeing it. Ontario people, we will remove your debt. And I thought to myself, oh, here's another joke video. It's a joke video to make fun of the inflation and what Trudeau and everyone did about just pumping stimulus checks, which I would have done the same if I was a government, but it still sucks, the consequence. Because same thing, tons of printed money, inflation sucks, no one can afford shit anymore. So anyways, I saw that and I thought it was an actual joke. No. Like, it was actually the Ontario government wanting to pay off people's debts just out there. And I'm like, holy shit, some people, they're celebrating, they're jumping for joy, which to me, that's a nightmare. That just means more inflation, more crap. And when things get out of freaking control, just like in Berlin and Ireland, people are going to say, yeah, government, you control the housing because I will never afford a house. So I want the government to control it, to whatever. So it's fair, the fairness. And they just don't know the consequence of when things aren't privately owned. There's no competition. So then, and there's no incentive for developers to build neighborhoods. When a developer doesn't have the tax benefits and can't make money from building neighborhoods, they don't do it. The tax code is written to incentivize us to do things. And we see this in Ireland and Berlin. Ireland, like Berlin specifically, Ireland, the country for sure, they're doing this. And so there's no demand. There's too much demand, no supply. There's no supply. And then so now we're getting lineups for one apartment. Like, I saw a post, there's 700 people looking for one apartment. Literally, the homelessness will go up. Like, it's ridiculous, and the infrastructure is going to look like shit. Look at old Russia, communist Russia, when the government owned everything. Those buildings still stand there. They look like fakakta. It's not, and that's because there's no privatization. There's no competition. When there's competition, people want their product to look better than someone else, so they get paid. And because of capitalistic competition, if someone's renting for $2,000 a month, and then someone's got a place similar, but they, have a bigger operation and they spent less money on their flooring and etc., they're going to charge $1,900 to get more customers. And that's competition. So then the person there is kind of in the middle, $1,950, and then someone's going to go $1,975, and then one person balls out, so they're going $2,100, and things stay at least kind of affordable in there. Whereas once the government steps in, boom, there's no supply anymore. The price, is going to stay the same, but things are going to look so shitty, and then people will have no place to live, or they're going to be splitting rooms with 5 people in a room. This is not a good situation, and economy goes down when people aren't buying things for their investments. I hope that makes sense. So let's take Ireland. Let's say a developer says, the tax code doesn't help me if I build a neighborhood. I can't make any profit building the neighborhood anymore. I'm not going to do it. Whereas take capitalism, the person says, oh, I can make a ton of money building that neighborhood. I'm going to go buy $1 million of wood, $1 million of metal, $1 million of nails. Now Home Depot and all these places made $3 million that day off the developer. Now they're going to take that money, invest it into whatever. Like, in the velocity of money increases, and that's what we want to see for GDP to go up and economy spike. And so this is why, like, I'm not a super hardcore capitalist saying, like, suck it up and make your own way. Like, I love social programs for people that truly have been screwed through systematic racism. However, I don't think that everyone has to live that way. Otherwise, we see economies decline. And I know teachers of mine teaching me Spanish that want to get their tuchus out of Venezuela, out of Colombia, because that's what happened years ago, and it still hasn't been fixed. Even though Chavez is out of Venezuela, that country's still screwed. And so, look, in Russia, like, they've been a dictatorship for so long. So I'm just saying, some of these countries that on paper it seems nice and all, for the socialists, in the long run, never works out. You want capitalistic competition, and that's it. I guess that's my rant. That's my spiel. I'm done, and I wanted to put this out there on the internet. I want to get some of these thoughts out. If you want to hear everything I think about, get on my podcast. But not everyone listens, and at least my family can see this if they don't find my podcast. Because I just, not gonna lie, I want to say I told you so. Like down the road, maybe I'll tell you exactly why I started making this video. This is gonna sound mashuga. I thought, maybe I become wealthy. Maybe I have a lot of money one day. And it's sad, but when you have a lot of money, you got power. People start listening to what you say when you have money, which is so, I hate that. But I was thinking, right now, no one listens to me because I don't have money. So maybe one day the roles will switch and people will listen. And then I can go back. I can tell them, I can say, hey, I thought about this stuff, the way the economy works, the way the world works. Yeah. And I just wanted to get it out there early before I had the money so that one day I can say, hey, folks, I didn't just wake up today. You know what I mean? I know that's going against Jay Shetty proving, but I just want to say that. And I guess I'll digress with this is, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, it'll come back. So many things run through my head all the time. But I remember now, yeah. So right now we're in a time historically, it's very interesting. It's called the tolerance paradox, where everyone's gotten very tolerant to each other, saying it's okay if you're this, it's okay if you're that. I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. If someone's trans, if someone's gay, if someone's this and that, I love them. I'm truly an ally. Because everyone has become so tolerant, it's a paradox. Because now if someone is not tolerant, we aren't tolerant to that ideology. So then we start to restrict the free speech. And this is where there's no longer tolerance for the people who are not tolerant of something. Get that? So now we got a bunch of intolerant people, and that's the paradox. They're all tolerant, which makes us intolerant of others who aren't tolerant. And we start to judge, and we start to hate, and the divide starts. And society's going a weird direction that way, where not a lot of people agree on the same things. And I love when people push stuff. It just scares me. So I'm not saying there's any connotation there. It's just scary. Yeah, and where there are gaps there's money to be made. That's as simple as that. Simple as it. Coming right back to the start of this spiel. All this dividing creates poor people, and the wealthy capitalize on it. Simple as that. Simple as that. So, lots of feelings hurt these days. Some youngsters are starting to stand up and go, yeah, something's not right here. It just doesn't feel right. Because you can't get canceled when you're a teenager, right? So you got a lot of teenagers speaking up. That's what I found. And yeah, I'm very interested where things will go. But that's how the economy is so interesting. Things are shifting big time in U.S. Canadian economy. And I'm really excited that I get to live through it. I hope I can capitalize on it in the next 5 years. Make some big money moves. But we'll see. We'll have to check back in 5 years, gang. Love you all. Thanks for tuning in and listening to this absolute ramble. I hope it didn't sound like Shmagagi. Take care. Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Bye.